I just get on here so early. I hate to hit record that early. So let me let these girls in and then we'll start. It'll be so good. So yes, share with everybody, my friends. I truly believe in that. This honestly is just a go give thing. It's just something that, so Jennifer today really is just taking time out of her crazy busy schedule just to get back to each and every one of us. And, we're approaching year end and it's crazy. And I know we all have crazy goals and trying to do amazing things. And so the fact that you took some time on a Thursday to be here, and we just always hope that it blesses you. And I feel what happened, right? Like what's supposed to happen happens. And sometimes we hear exactly what we're supposed to hear and what God needs us to hear. And so when we send these recordings out, yes, you're more than welcome. I know a lot of people have asked me for last week's. It's the recordings out, just not the YouTube. It's not on my YouTube group. So if you've subscribed to that, it hasn't been put on there yet. Just hang tight. We'll get Mary Catherine King and Jennifer's on there after today too. Just bear with us. It's been really crazy. I'm sure you're all feeling that too. It's just been busy. So we're going to go ahead and start because I know some of you are on your actual lunch hour and either at work or at home working. And so we just want to say thank you for joining. And I love hearing from so many amazing women and their ideas and forethought. And, I think school is never out for the pros, right? We need inspire. We need to be inspired. We need encouragement. And always, I don't care what we're talking about. Sometimes when the student's ready, the teacher appears and we hear it differently. So we had the great honor of having our beautiful Jennifer on today. And some of you probably know her in person. You might be personally connected to her. She is amazing. Jen, I had the privilege of watching one of your, when people start recommending people for me, I go, if they're not in my division or something like that, or I haven't just been blessed in their space yet, I go check them out and I try to find, something they trained on or recording or something. Cause I want to know, it's really important to me that things are done the Mary Kay way and it's with the best heart and best intention. And I want to bring the best of the best to each and every one of you. So if any of you have suggestions someone that you think I need to get on here, you're always welcome to keep, referring people and doing that. I really believe in that. And so I know with July, I need some ideas. So yeah, send them my way. But I just want you to know, Jen, it's Mary Kay's birthday and look at her. She looks stunning. All pink is beautiful. And I was super impressed. One, I have the privilege of being on the top director of Oxford with you. And I love everything that you share. You're so go give. I think how you think and strategize is amazing to me. I'm very, very impressed with that. And I can't wait to learn more about you and get to know you better. And I just want you to know how much I love and appreciate the fact that you would take your time for everybody. I mean, really, it's for thousands upon thousands. I mean, it goes all over the Mary Kay world. I was told about a month ago that it's going international too. A lot of people are sending it to people that they're connected with in other countries. I'm like, well, I don't really care. It's just, this is just something to give to others. So thank you. Thank you for giving your time and your heart to so many women who maybe they don't know their director. They don't have a national, or they don't have, that connection. And so I really hope this blesses all of you today. And Jen, I'm going to let you take over and just share from your heart. And I know it's going to be what we all need today.
Well, Jen, I just, first of all, want to say thank you to you because you followed your heart, your gut, and led by the Spirit to start something like this. And I have been blessed by many of the lunch and learns. And so I'm just honored that you even asked. And I'll share a story here in a minute, but just you're being the hands and feet of Mary Kay Ash herself. And so thank you, Jen, for, I know this is not easy, like putting all the speakers together and taking the time that you do to put this all together. So we love you guys too. And thank you for just being so go give in your time for sure. So blessings to you as you finish this year. And yes, we have happy birthday, Mary Kay. And I even brought my little fun birthday glasses and my little horn. Happy birthday, Mary Kay, right? We had to at least recognize the woman herself and how amazing she is. And today I'm going to talk about fear versus confidence. And I have to tell you that I I know Mary Kay probably had a little bit of fear, but she led with such confidence. And so we're going to talk about that today. And when I was asked to do this call, I'm not going to lie, like my first reaction was like, are you sure? Like, are you sure you want me? Like, I'm not sure about that. And fear kind of set in at first. And then I was like, you know what? God gave me, is giving me a message, and I can do this. I can do this. And then she sent me the lineup for May, and it was all $1 million directors. And I was squished in between them. And I'm not going to lie, I was like, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? Like, really, I have to follow Mary Catherine King. And then there's Denise and Susan this month. And I'm just honored to be in this platform. And honestly, I was like, I can't do this. Like, the fear set in. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just sharing the platform with other $1 million directors. And that is a sign that that's next for me. I just totally changed it over. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because, Jan Thetford says, teach what's been happening in the last 7 days. And I am going to teach on things that have, really been life-changing for me, not only in the last 7 days, but in the last 7 months, really. This new, and I am like already getting choked up. So I have prayed over this. I have prayed for each of you. I have prayed that my words will be a bridge, literally, from the Lord to you, and that you'll hear what he wants you to hear. And these are not my words, but these are the words that God equipped me with today to share with you. And so I hope there's one thing, even one thing that you can hear today that will bless you. And I started out the seminar year just really yearning for change, just really desiring to not be in the same place as I had been before. And how many of us are there, right? We just go through the motions, and we know that there's something better, but how do we make that shift? And how do we change the cycle, right? And so I started out the very first few months of the seminar year just really seeking out direction. And honestly, it was frustrating because I wanted to do better. I wanted to be better. I wanted something different. And I just didn't feel like I was getting what I needed. And so I just kept going, and I kept going through frustration, through tears, through really people investing in me, even just almost argumentative, like, but this and but that. And really the first of the year in January, things started really becoming more clear for me. And one thing that really changed for me is I started a coaching program, and it's through Strength Finders. Probably a lot of you are familiar with that. And it has really, honestly, completely changed my world. And the reason it has changed my world is because it's brought me from living in fear into living in confidence. And so I just want to address those two things really quickly before I give you some things that I wrote down that's going to help you leave your comfort zone to access your growth zone, to live freely in God's glory zone. And that's really what we want, right? And so first of all, fear, you guys have all heard fear. Like, when you think of fear, do you all say false evidence appearing real? Like, how many of you guys have been around Mary Kay long enough where you hear that false evidence appearing real, right? That's the first thing that comes to my mind is that. And it's like when you're living in fear, it's like wearing scratchy sunglasses. Have you guys ever had like the cheap well, we've all had cheap sunglasses, right? Those cheap sunglasses that just get scratched up, right? You can't completely see clearly, right? It's like that. It clouds your vision. It creates unconscious habits. So one thing that I learned in my coaching the last couple of weeks is habits can actually be unconscious habits like worry, anxiety, comparison, chaos. All of that can actually be unconscious habits. When something comes into our life, a trigger or something like that, we automatically look to start worrying. We automatically look to compare. We automatically look for anxiety to overcome us. And so fear can actually create an unconscious habit. And that might come in the form of worry, anxiety, comparison, chaos, all of those. Okay. Fear is not truth. It is a survival mode. And let's see, the right action can never come out of fear. The right action can never come out of fear. The more that you focus on fear, that becomes what is around you. Reoccurring patterns, unconscious belief that you're holding on to can stem from that fear. So some questions to ask yourself when you feel like you're thinking in fear would be, number one, do I know this to be true? Number one, do I know this to be true? Number two, who would I be without these thoughts? If I wasn't having these thoughts, would I be somebody else? And number three, if I loved myself, would I continue to think this? If I loved myself, would I continue to think this? Okay, so shifting now into confidence. One thing that I want to say is that when we are leading, would you want, okay, so let me just back up for a second. I was at a graduation, I was actually at more than one, but I was at a graduation this last week. And one thing that the speaker said to me really hit me. He was actually a doctor, and his very first surgery, the lady was on the table and he came in and he said, it must have been all over my face. And she looked up at me and she goes, you scared? Can you imagine a doctor getting ready to operate on you and him be scared? I can't even imagine, like, really. Okay, what about your coach? If you were on a team, I love volleyball. So if you were on a volleyball team or a soccer team or basketball team or something, would you want your coach to lead you with anything but confidence? How about your customers? Do you think your customers want a consultant that is not confident? Right? Now, there's a difference between being confident and knowing everything. You can still be confident and not feel like you have to know everything, right? And so there's lots of scenarios. Okay, obviously, going into, I don't know, leading $1 million unit. Would you want your director to lead you with anything but confidence? Right? We want our, whoever's leading us, we want them to have that confidence, and we want you to have that confidence for your customers and your teams that you're leading as well. And so when you live in your genius, as Kevin Keppel says, then you are free to create. You can love others. You can have influence. You can welcome abundance, energy, joy, and peace. You can change the pattern. It is the gateway to freedom, and you can claim your power. So Pamela Waldrop Shaw always talks about level 10 confidence. And I remember the first time I heard that, and I was like, that makes so much sense. And my kids were in high school sports, and we talked a lot about, when you go into the game, you go in with level 10 confidence. You might feel like you're level 1 confidence, but you just go in and you just own that court. Level 10 confidence, because your coach wants to know that you're confident, right? And so leading with confidence can really help you receive all of those things. And as we're going into the last, 2 months of the seminar year, how are you moving into the end of the seminar year? Are you going in with fear, or are you going in with confidence? And sorry, you can hear my dog. She's trying to get into my office. Anyway, so one thing that I wanted to share with you is my daughter Kinsey came home last week for just a few days during graduation and Mother's Day. And I had a plant that was dying, and I'm just not really a green thumb. Okay, I'm just gonna say that like loosely. Okay, I'm learning to be a green thumb. And I had this plant that somebody had given me like a year and a half ago, and it was actually still living, but there was like this whole section of it that was dead, and the end of it was still living. And so she was like, Mom, you need to like cut that off and start a fresh new plant. And I was like, well, I don't know how to do that. And she's like, well, I don't really either. And so I came home one day and she had done that for me. And I was like, that is just like our lives. We can cut that part off and we can start afresh, right? We can start anew, and we can change the chapter. We can change the outcome, and we can receive that abundance that the Lord has for us. And so I thought that was a great analogy going into receiving God's glory zone. So I'm going to go into the things that I have experienced in the last 3 or 4 months that I feel like helped me leave my comfort zone to access my growth zone. That's not always pretty. To live freely in God's glory zone. All right. So number one is align yourself in a circle of heroes and guides. And this was just something recently in the last couple of weeks that I've learned in my coaching sessions. And there's 4 types of people. The first one is the victim, and they feel like there's no way out. Okay, the victim. Number 2 is the villain. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna just let my dog in real quick. Hold on. Sorry, that was distracting me. Okay, so number 1 is the victim, and they feel like there's no way out. Number 2 is the villain. The villain makes others feel small. Number 3 is the hero, and the hero faces challenges and succeeds. And then there's the guide who helps the hero. And where are you living? Where are you living at? One of those 4 people is where you're living right now. So are you living in the victim? Are you living with someone who's a victim? Are you around someone who is a victim or a villain, right? And so number 1 is align yourself in a circle of heroes and guides. Okay, draw some boundaries on who you are putting yourself in proximity with. Okay, you choose, you get to choose who you are hanging around, right? And so obviously, heroes and guides is where we want to align ourselves with. So that might be your national, that might be your director, that might be your recruiter, it might be a professional coach, it might be a life coach or a mentor. In my case, I don't have a national, I don't have a senior, I don't have a director, I don't even have a recruiter. So I have chosen to invest in myself and align myself with a professional coach, which is really changing things for me. So number 2 is daily decisions. Now, living in confidence, creating new habits is a daily decision. And so your daily decisions have to be intentional. Are you willing to change that? Those daily decisions. So creating a new pattern, purge anything that takes you back to that old pattern. Maybe just starting fresh in your atmosphere, in your office. A year ago, literally, I completely changed my office. So that was almost the beginning of me really making an intentional decision to make things different, to change, was really just purging and making things fresh. So purging anything that takes you back to that old pattern, or being comfortable, because being comfortable is not where we want to be. We want to be in a place of growth, and growth isn't comfortable. So getting rid of those things that are making you comfortable, right? Okay, so maybe posters, affirmations, you guys know those things, right? Investing in daily self-growth. So one thing that I have made a priority. Now, am I where I want to be? Am I perfect? Do I do it every day? Absolutely not. But I am in the process of making those changes. And the one thing is investing in my daily self-growth. So everyone that I've met is at a place that I want to be. They've all said one thing that they would attribute the change to is 1 to 2 hours of self-growth a day. That sounds like a lot, right? But it makes such a huge difference. Okay, I got a question here. What is the definition for heroes, please? Okay, so heroes is someone who faces the challenges and succeeds. Then the guides help the heroes. Okay. Okay, so still under daily decisions, evaluate your habits. Things that are in your life that are habits. Are these habits unconscious habits? And are they habits of, like we said earlier, worry, anxiety, chaos, those kind of things? Or are they habits that are good for you? Are they good habits? Are they habits that you need to continue to do? Are they habits that you need to change? Making one change of a habit each month, or for the next couple of weeks, this is the new habit for me, and I'm choosing to do this. Okay, maybe you're eating something that is going to have an effect on you mentally or emotionally. Are you eating good foods that are bringing energy into your life? Things like, what are you listening to? Whose voice are you hearing? All those things can make a difference. And then cutting out anything that's negative or people. Now, these daily decisions have to be daily. One thing I've been talking to Kevin about the last week is, how long does it take to create a habit? Was a question that I asked him. And he was like, well, really, it's a daily decision, because you can't say that you can't go back to an old habit. It has to be a daily decision. And I'm like, that's so true, right? Because so many times we have created this habit and we might conquer it for 2 or 3 days, or maybe even 21 days, or maybe even 90 days. But then how many times do we go back to that, right? So it has to be a daily decision. Okay, so that was number 2. Number 3, allow your creativity to flow. Own who you are, own your strengths, own your spiritual gifts, own those things that God created you to be, to really make a difference in the world. I mean, your DNA, you are, you are in, I wrote something down. Oh, your assets, not liabilities. You are a carrier of a unique message. You are the carrier of a unique message. So some things that can help you, help your creativity flow, is just being okay with who you are. Stop comparing yourself to anyone. And if social media is making you compare, then let go of that. Wherever you're comparing yourself, let go of that. Be you. Just be. It's okay. God made you special and unique. Make time to be still and hear from God. And we have so much noise in our head, right? Every day there's so much noise in our head. So make time to be still. And I don't know about you, I'm an I personality, and it's really hard for me to sit still. And one thing that I have been learning to do is to journal. Now, it may not be anything that even makes sense to anybody else, but just taking paper and making it come from my head to the paper to just free my brain and open my creativity more is really freeing for me. And so maybe journaling, but really, when you're living in that confidence, your creativity is more open to be able to develop what you're made to develop, that creativity. Okay, and number 4, embrace your purpose. I don't know about you guys, what you're reading right now, but this Believing Bigger, I know a lot of you have heard this already. It is phenomenal. Really just to share with you how to believe bigger, how to believe in yourself, how to embrace who you are. So if you don't have something right now that you're reading, it's a short read every day, daily devotion, and Believing Bigger it is really awesome. Yes, thank you, Nicole. Okay, so embrace your purpose. And she shares with us in that book that your purpose is why and how God made you. Being self-aware. What are your strengths? What do you love? Those things are the DNA that God created you to be for that unique purpose. And so really embracing that. Own your genius and don't apologize. Work from your balcony and not your basement. Okay, so there is a balcony and a basement of who we are, right? And sometimes we can choose to be that person living in fear, and we can be living in that basement part of who we are instead of our balcony. And so God created your special gifts, and those special gifts, for example, maybe you're just a natural leader or a natural organizer or whatever. And that is like who you be, right? You love that. And sometimes we can get overwhelmed by helping other people organize and spending all of our time organizing, that we're not doing other things as well. We can make our gift really so much that it can become a burden even. And so I know that I have been in that place before where I just got so weary and so tired of giving, because naturally I love to give, whether it be of my time or gifts or whatever. And I found myself when my kids were in junior high that I was literally doing so much for my church that I was not even investing in my own children or myself because I was giving so much. And so you have to be sure that you are, living in harmony and balance, and that those gifts is on purpose. it's a hard balance. It is, but I know at that point in time, God kind of woke me up and I resigned from everything. And my pastor embraced me, thankfully, because I said, right now, my investment needs to be in my children. And I'm not doing that. And so I need someone else to step up. It's time for somebody else to step up. And he had such respect for that decision that I made. And it wasn't easy because I love doing all of that. So be sure that you're working from your balcony. And then number 5, serve others. We have a unique opportunity to share products with a purpose. And when we serve others, we take the focus off of ourselves, and it can really create more confidence, more purpose in ourselves. It can take the focus off of how we feel about ourselves, especially if you're not feeling great. I learned a few years back that one of the best ways to help with being down or depressed is to serve. And when you're serving others, then you are open to receiving a blessing, right? And that blessing really is taking the focus off of you, but putting it onto other people. And so I have to tell you a story because the other part of serving others is living in gratitude. And I am a pretty positive person. That's actually one of my top 5 strengths is positivity, but it is not my husband's. He's in the other room, so he knows this already. But in January, I decided I was going to do a gratitude journal. Even though I'm already a very thankful person, I'm also very positive. And so I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to do this. And I'm going to, right before bed, I'm going to do 3 things I'm thankful for the day. And so I asked my husband if he would like to join me. Okay. And I know you guys don't know my husband. Well, some of you do, but I know you guys don't know him, but he's, you know, a man's man, very burly, works out. He runs cattle, you know, he's the rugged type. Right. And so he was like, okay, I'll do that. And so the first night, I was like, okay, so I have this little notebook, right? And I'm like taking notes, and I literally like 2 seconds, I have my 3, right? And I'm like, are you going to do this? And he was like, yes. And so he's like thinking. And he was like, okay, I'm thankful for your boobs. And I was like, really? And then I don't know, the other one was like, okay, I'm thankful for your butt. Like literally, like I'm not kidding. And he literally could not do it. Like he couldn't do it. And I'm like, are you gonna be serious? And he's like, no, really, I am. And I was like, okay, that's not what this intention is. Okay. So then I was like, okay, for the first night, right? So the second night, same thing. I mean, literally, he's like, he just cannot think of this. Okay. So long story short, the first 2 or 3 nights, it was all about, I'm thankful for, you know, my body, basically every body part that I have. He was thankful for that. And then by the 3rd or 4th night, he was like, I found myself thinking all day long, what am I thankful for? I was like, that's awesome. And so he came up with something else, like, you know, something like, I'm thankful that whatever, I had dinner or whatever. I mean, it was something, I don't remember exactly. And so by the end of the first week, his mind was changing even during the day. Instead of it being on all the negative things and things that were going wrong, just by doing this silly little gratitude journal, which it's not silly, but by just doing that little thing, it really started changing his mind. And I'm not going to say we've been perfect. And we did kind of take a hiatus for a little bit when things got really, really busy and we were just dog tired when we got to bed, but we started doing it again. And it has really changed the mindset of him all day long. He is now thinking about all the things that are awesome throughout the day and things that he's thankful for. And I don't know if that's something that would make a difference for you and your significant other, but has really made a difference for us. So I just wanted to share that story with you. So I have a verse for you to finish. And I know you guys have heard this before, but it's Psalms 139:14. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. And I just want to reiterate that you were created on purpose for a purpose, and own your strengths, own your DNA, own your genius, who you are, walk in that confidence, create the habit of living fearlessly, living on purpose, feeling of being able to give back to others, serving others, live with a purpose of serving others in love and joy and peace. And really with just a few changes, your whole life can have a different outlook. And I'm here as living proof. I love my life. I love my life. And you're about to see my unit have the biggest finish of our entire career in 24 years. You're about to see what's going to happen. And I totally believe that with all of my heart. And God has showed up. And when I was preparing this, I really believe it was more for me than probably you, but it was really about seeing where I've come from. And it wasn't even like I wasn't equipped to do a skincare class. I wasn't equipped to do an interview or lead a top unit. It was more about who I was about myself, leading myself well so I can lead others well, and embracing the purpose of what God has for me. And He has that for you too. So leave your comfort zone to access your growth zone and live freely in God's glory zone. And I know He has a special purpose for you. So happy year end. I pray blessings on you and your team and your customers. So thank you for letting me share today.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing. And Jen, I think for so many, as I'm watching the comments and just how I felt, it was exactly what so many of us needed. And thank you for being so real and authentic and raw. And I think it's important that, I don't know about the rest of you, but I think sometimes in Mary Kay, it's a very humbling experience in our business and in our lives, and it changes who we are. And it was terrific. Before we go, because I know, we want to keep it to everybody's time. Does anyone have a couple people want to, unmute for Jen or say your takeaway or a question? I know she answers some as she's going. You're so good at that, man. I can't do both at the same time.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I wasn't here for the whole meeting, so I'll have to go back and watch the recording. But I want to say thank you so much again, like Jenny said, for being real, because I have actually kicked my husband out of the bedroom because he was being grumpy. But we're in a good place because he's like, okay, now I can focus on you and what you're doing for your business and support you, and you're being able to support me, so it's definitely, sometimes you just got to walk away and come back to it and say, okay, what's that fresh start? How can we bring ourselves back to this gratitude plan? So I love it. And I'm sitting here watering the yard and crying at the same time.
Oh, I'm so glad.
So thank
thankful.
You very much. And God bless you, love.
Yes, you too.
Anybody else? Sorry, I'm looking as through all these screens as quick as I can. Oh, I love all the comments. Thank you for posting those. Angie, go ahead.
Yes, I'll say something. You know, I'm a crybaby, so I've been crying through this whole thing.
I love you, Angie.
Oh, yeah. But I loved what you said about our unconscious habits. That's so true. And how we need to live freely in God's zone. You know, I've kind of, so much has happened on, you know, to all of us. So this was perfect for me. Like I mentioned, that was God's whisper putting you for me today. And I appreciate that very much.
I prayed over that.
Yeah.
Cool.
And you're right next to me in my screen. And so I've been watching you the whole time. And so I felt the love that you had and just really receiving what God was saying to you. So
Yeah.
thank you. I love all these new friends that I met today.
You're gonna be a new famous person when you go to seminar. Everybody, that's what I love. You know, for several years we've all just seen each other on screen. And we're all gonna go to seminar just like we did at leadership and freak out because we all get to hug and touch and see each other and be like, oh, you're real. It's gonna be so much fun. And
I cannot wait.
I know, me either. And Jen, we're gonna pray for you and be cheering your unit on to the biggest year and breakthrough ever. Thank you for your heart, your time. And like I said, just being real and authentic and raw with us. God has something big in store for you, my friend. There is no doubt. You had such a sense of, the whole time I'm listening to you, I know you're getting emotional, but I had a sense of calming. I don't know if anybody else felt that, but I just felt, I'm like, oh, like I needed, I don't know, just a sense of just releasing. I loved it. Thank you for all that you did. And thank you, ladies, for joining today. And I'll get this out as soon as I can. I have a kind of crazy day, but I'll try today or first thing tomorrow to get this out, the recording, so you'll have it.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you for affirming me and your prayers. And I love y'all.
Bye, ladies. Have a great Thursday.
Yeah.